Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
A round 2 podium has allowed for Ruben Chachashvili to open up a wider gap in the championship standings. But as we turn our sights away from the treacherous mountain of Bathurst to today's racing venue, questions of consistency may begin to arise. Tsukba Circuit is everything that Bathurst is not. tight, compact, with little room to pass and even less room to get the iR-04s up to full speed. Welcome everyone to round 3 of the iRacing Israel League Championship here at the virtual Tsukba Speedway, brought to you live on Apex Racing TV. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the commentary booth by Dane Baird with our director and producer Lewis Ward behind the scenes. And as we said, this Tsukba Circuit is something of a bull ring when it comes to open road racing. And Dane, I think that's going to make things very, very difficult for these drivers. It is certainly a different change from the wide open spaces that we saw on the first and third parts of Bathurst last time out.
Yeah, exactly. It's Tsukba. It's a very interesting circuit. It's a circuit that was long awaited when it was originally released on iRacing. They sort of teased it and everyone knew it was coming, and then it didn't for ages. But it was eventually finished and it came out as free content. So a lot of the drivers here in the iRacing Israel League, they've started iRacing within the last couple of years. They've probably raced this circuit quite a fair bit down in the lower classes and the rookies in the D-class series. So maybe back to some familiar territory for a lot of them, whereas obviously some of the other circuits maybe not so much for the drivers. So hopefully they have that little bit of extra knowledge that they don't usually have with the circuits in this championship, and we'll see some great racing. But it is, like you said, it's a tiny circuit. We'll have loads and loads of laps done, which should hopefully mean we pass the very slim overtaking opportunities a little bit more frequently.
Yes, indeed, and slim overtaking is going to be a big key around here. Very difficult to be able to get on by, in large part because of the lack of long straightaways here, and really any straightaways. The only chance you've got is coming down the backstretch here and down into the sweeping final corner, and that's not too much of a good braking zone. Let's go ahead and take a look, though, at those championship standings. As we said, Ruben Chachashvili up at the top of the charts in the Pro category, leading the way over Tal Stern by about 20 or so points. Behind them, it is Michael Scherling, and then John Chico rounding out your top 4 in the Pro category, with Yaroslav Malkov rounding out the top 5. Over in the AM class, it's really Tsur leading the way by a pretty healthy margin. Bertie Galili there in second place, then Aiden Shearer, Tomer Ventura, and as we continue to look down there, Arnon Levi there as well. But that could all change around here today. As we've talked about, 2 races on the docket, as is always the case. The first race will be 20 minutes long, followed by the second race out here, and that second race will feature an invert of the top 10. And as we've seen many a time, that can sometimes lead to some interesting strategy. Drivers trying to get into that top 10 to be able to move their way into prime opportunity. And I think especially here at Tsukba, a circuit that is a little bit more difficult to overtake on, that could be a big ploy. But we only have about 5 seconds left to go here in qualifying. Lior Levi working his way around right now as the checkered flag flies for qualifying, and that will wrap everything up for our drivers, and that will go ahead and lead us into our starting grid. It's going to be John Chico lining up in pole position, followed by Sharon Kaner. Then it's Yuri Malkov and Yossi Gabe. Tomer Ventura will be the first of our AM class drivers in 5th place. Then it'll be Tal Stern and Ariel DeBush, followed by Lior Levi, who rounds out your top 8. Michael Scherling will line up in P9, followed by Amir Hesed, Really Sir, and Nadav Yaron will round out your top 12. Then it's Aiden Shear and Bertie Galili, the rest of the order here today. Bertie Galili, then Mark Zubarev, Madi Bakar, Yamarkarov, and last, and then bringing up the back of the field will be Arnon Levi as here they get ready to go. A standing start here, as it is tradition in these iR-05s. That the way that they like to get things up and going, as we wait for just a few more drivers to be able to get their way onto the grid right now, trying to see what they are going to be able to do as we get ready here to blast our way into turn 1. Sometimes a little bit of a flashpoint, Dane. Drivers are going to have to be careful about that.
Yep, first couple of corners, it's a tight hairpin up the hill, very easy for someone to get turned around. There's really nowhere to go, like you said, no runoff on either side, the barriers are really close. And then into a tight little left section, and another hairpin immediately after, so difficult for the drivers on these first couple laps.
All right, as we wait here for just a few more drivers to show up on the grid, and it looks like they are all about there. I believe that's the full field on the grid as we wait here for the right flags to fly. And getting here is there goes the green, and we are racing in Tsukba. It's a good getaway from John Chico at the front of the field. He's immediately going to try to cover off the inside. We look back to Tomer Ventura as he tries to bring his way through the field right now. The number 13 working their way through that tricky area that you talked about, the little flick coming down through the next couple of corners as they run. Here they come down now into the corner, and a little bit of contact there in the back. That's really Sir in the 959 getting spun around, and a big track blockage down at the hairpin. And that's going to allow here for John Chico up at the front of the field to continue to carry away. Behind them, it's still a little bit of a battle between Malkov and Kaner. Kaner trying to get that as a good play by John Chico, moving off to the inside, trying to break a little bit of that draft. But Kaner trying to look to the inside there, going through turn 9. Almost contact. There was contact between the two as they continue to work their way around. And here they come across the start-finish line. That did cost Kaner a little bit of time as he tries to close in on the back of Malkov. Malkov being able to keep him at bay. A tighter line off of the corner there for Kaner. That's Yossi Gabe just holding on in the background, waiting to see if he's going to get an opportunity to be able to move his way by. And while Tomer Ventura continues to lead the AND category by a substantial margin, but Ariel DeBush looking to be able to come in on the back of him in that 007 as they work their way through the fiddly bits and now down to the final hairpin on the track. We check back on Michael Scherling, who gets the braking wrong going down into turn 8, and that's going to be contact between him and I believe Tal Stern, the 11 car, getting the worst of the wear out of that. A little bit of contact, a little bit of bumping and banging. They'll find themselves coming back down around. We juke back for the head of the AM lead. We talked about DeBush trying to be able to get by. It looks like Ariel there is going to be able to get that run, but Tomer Ventura not letting that go quietly. They come into the corner side by side, a little bit of lock up there as they work their way now down through turn 1. On the exit, it looks like it's going to be DeBush into the lead of Ventura, but Ventura not letting that go easily. He looks down to the inside of the hairpin into turn 4, but that's not going to play itself out. Single file as there's a big snap of oversteer for Tomer Ventura that he's got to gather up under that number 13. They now work their way through turn 6 up into turn 7, getting ready to break down into the hairpin. Is this going to be another flashpoint as we saw on the previous lap? No, but I can tell you that Lior Levi is going to be looking to close down in behind as he's going to get a nice helping of the draft here coming down the back straightaway into turn 9, but will he be able to take advantage of it? That is the question. It doesn't look like it. The number 46 just going to have to stay into line here. Gets a little bit of aero wash there on the exit of the corner as they work their way now down the front straightaway, diving into turn 1. Looks like a little bit of an opposite line there for Levi, trying to take a later apex if at all possible. That's not going to play itself out, but it looked like Zubarov and Malkov there tied on the fastest lap of the race last time around, so some good times being set up and down through the field. We continue to keep our eyes here on Lior Levi as he had a little bit of a look going down into turn 4, but that didn't play itself out. Now he comes here working his way, looks to the inside here of turn 8, tries to poke his nose in, right front lockup, and that's not going to play itself out. He's going to have to gather things back up and push ahead. As DeBush continues to lead, not fully being able to break away from Tomer Ventura here as they work their way around. We are already 3.5 minutes down in just about as many laps here worked in the books, as this is such a quick circuit and lap times come at you very, very quickly. 53-second lap times, under a minute. These three continue to run as Ventura actually sets the fastest lap of the race last time out, so there's clearly some speed in that AM class number 13. But we watch Lior Levi, big puff of brake smoke in front of them, and that's Kaner with a mistake. And I see another car there. That's going to be DeBush under problem. I think he had to check up behind Kaner, and that's going to be an opportunity here for Ventura to try to push his way forward. They're going to be side by side going down into turn 8. Who's going to be the battle of the late breakers, as it looks like they're around the outside? That was Levi losing out a little bit. Excuse me, that was Ventura losing out a little bit to DeBush as they went down into the corner. Now it's going to be Ventura trying to take a look down into turn 9. That's not going to play itself out as the number 46 now is the one that's going to try to take advantage here as they go. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. A little bit of a wiggle for Lior, and that's going to prevent any opportunity to attack. But a big puff of brake smoke there in front of the big snap of sideways for Ariel DeBush. We're 3 wide coming down through 2 and 3. Hopefully these drivers are going to be able to maintain their distance and not come together. And unfortunately, there's a little bit of contact between DeBush and Levi, but that's going to open up the door now for Levi to be able to sweep on through 2 positions in the course of 2 corners. A great move there for Lior Levi as he separates himself out. Tomer Ventura looking like they're in a battle. Yaron and Kaner, they're coming down through the corner. Noah's Ark down in through turn 8. My goodness gracious, Tsukba living up to its reputation here as a fast, fearsome, and absolutely bananas bull ring with plenty of time left to go here. 15 minutes on the clock. I think there may have been a little bit of a problem. I see Hased off in the background. Not entirely sure there what happened to him as we continue to go here following Lior Levi as he works his way around through turn 1, able to separate himself out from a little bit of the gap in the back. It looks like Yaron and Kaner behind them went into the corner side by side. That's a good little battle starting to play itself out as we continue to work here around the corners. Levi in 4th place and one of those pro drivers up at the front of the field. It is John Chico leading the way over Malkov. Malkov has a very, very big gap back to Gabe, about 2 seconds, and then an even bigger gap courtesy of all of that battling between Gabe and Lior Levi. Levi starting to run into a little bit of an island unto himself as there is a train starting to form behind him, backing up behind Tomer Ventura as they now bring their way through turn 9, trying to see what it is. Here's that battle. This is Sheeran Kaner coming up behind Ventura right now. Is he going to be able to pull the draft off of the main straightaway? It looks like he's just able to poke his nose in there, but not really close enough to be able to get that into the corner. Here they come, working their way through 2 and 3, trying to see what they are able to do. That's a little bit of a poke to the inside. We jump back farther in the field, a nice little battle. That is last getting past there by DeBush. Remember, DeBush, Ariel here on a little bit of a recovery drive as he works his way back up through the field. We jump back into that battle between Tomer Ventura and Sheeran Kaner. Kaner trying to take a little bit of a later apex there through turn 8, trying to get as much momentum off of the corner as humanly possible. There he's going to pull in behind, trying to see what he is able to do. There's the poke to the inside. A little bit of a defensive move there from Ventura, but it's not going to be enough to dispel any attack there from Kaner. Kaner's going to get a nose ahead as they exit out of turn 9, and it looks like that's going to be the position there. And Ventura's going to try to bump back into the draft here, see what he's going to be able to do. Poke his nose down to the inside. Lockups for both drivers, and that's going to send them both spinning around into turn 1. Calamity there for what was a very, very good battle. Multi-corner battle, and both of them getting it wrong. That's going to deposit Ventura all the way down into 4th place in the AM category, and Kaner down into 7th. My goodness, everything's starting to fire off here, Dane.
Yeah, absolutely. And these high downforce cars and the nature of the circuit being that it is so tight and twisty means that the drivers are running side by side everywhere. And these corners, as you can see through this right hand near towards the end of the circuit, they're all very nice and banked and cambered. And it's really interesting that it's just allowing the cars with their high downforce to just race absolutely fantastically, as we're almost seeing 3 wide into the final corner here. You see Michael Scherling all the way on the inside. He has to back out of that one. Eventually they get back to single file, but not for long, as back into turn 1 they'll go side by side once again. It's Galili on the outside trying to get past, and he's going to run a little bit deep, and that's going to allow Kaner to get through.
And that is going to allow for Kaner to get through as we follow here. Sherling trying to be able to keep his way ahead. That is Aiden Shear, 2nd place in the AM category right now as they run. Looks like he's got a little bit of a good run here, does Michael Sherling, trying to get that pass done on Aiden Shear. Shear going to hold off there, a little bit off the racing line here. He's going to look to the outside. Sherling trying to send it around that long, lovely banked corner, as you said, Dane. Trying to see what he's able to do. That's going to set up a side-by-side here as they come down the back straightaway, waiting to see who's going to get it. There's going to be a little bit of draft here for the 200 off of Zubarev in front. Is that going to be able to carry him ahead? Yes, it is.
Back onto the main straight again, and you can see that green on the outside of the final corner. You can use all of that, but it does get very bumpy towards the edges. You're not going to get an off track, but you may well just unsettle the cars. You'll see them running over maybe half of it, and it gives them just a little bit of extra speed that they can carry through that final corner. Here's right up at the front, Yari Malkov, and he's got John Chico in his sights, trying to get some draft of a lapped car, I believe, that you can see on the right-hand side into the final corner. They will go as we just about make it to half race distance here, or half race time, I should say, and it's really close up there at the front.
Yes, it is. Malkov doing a great job of closing in on the back of John Chico. A little bit of a wiggle there coming off of turn 9, but he's able to keep everything nice and together here as we tick over 1 second away as hitting the halfway point here in this race. Malkov just stalking behind John Chico, waiting to see if there's an opportunity to be able to advance.
Here they go then into this. Looks like a relatively simple S section, but if you're trying to run side by side out of that first corner, it does get a lot tighter than it looks, and then into a tricky hairpin with the most camber out of any of the corners on the circuit. And what that means is, if you're right on the inside, you actually sort of, if you've ever driven at the iRacing Super Speedway, the really massive oval that they created, you sort of land on the banking on the inside. You get a bit of airtime with the front left wheel. That's exactly what happens into that hairpin if you're forced onto the inside line.
Yeah, indeed it is. We focus back here a little bit farther in the pack right now. Michael Scherling continuing his attack on Mark Zubarev up ahead of him. Scherling runs a little bit wide there out of the final corner. That'll delay a little bit of momentum, but he's certainly adding enough pressure here to the back of Zubarev to see if he can maybe force a mistake out of that 0-3-0. Here they come down into turn 4, that corner that you talked about, and watching Scherling there taking that late apex, trying to avoid popping that tire as you talked about, Dane. Looks like he's doing a pretty good job. Little bit of oversteer there coming through turn 5, the rear end of the car wanting to slip and slide on him, but he's able to maintain that all pretty well.
A little bit deep into the final corner there, you can see Zubarev in front. Just getting a better exit out of that corner there. He's not able to make any move into this final corner. It is a really fast final corner here. You barely have to slow down for it at all because it's so long and open. So the driver's really carrying loads of speed through there, and it widens up as it goes along as well onto what is a very wide circuit for its length. You were talking about this is everything Bathurst is not. Bathurst is really narrow. This is really wide, which is sort of the opposite of what you'd expect from a long versus a short circuit. As all around is, it looks like Markov in the back, 9th position in the AM category. He's just going to drop back a little bit further there. Looks like he maybe lit up the rear tires through the hairpin.
Yeah, I think he may have lit up those rear tires, and he's already 2 laps down, so a little bit of a bad run there for him. We continue to focus here on Scherling, trying to close in. You saw him run a little bit wider off of turn 8, trying to carry as much momentum as possible. He's going to get a nice heaping of the draft here, and now sticks his nose to the inside a little bit more. That's going to help him get a little bit more momentum off of that final corner. The question is that going to be enough momentum to be able to carry him down into turn 1? He certainly thinks so, as the 200 takes a dive into the first corner. Able to get that move done, but here comes a fight back a little bit from Zubarev. Remember, this is pro versus AM, so not necessarily decided for points here. As there, the 200 looks like they've got the move done.
Great stuff there from Scherling. Gets ahead of Zubarev and now rejoins the top 5 drivers, all being in the pro category. And he makes up that 6th driver now in a row. Getting ahead of the entire AM field now is Scherling, and can try and close down the gap between himself and the car in front, Yaron, who I believe is about 4 seconds up the road, so not too much time to try and gain when you've still got 6 minutes left of the race.
Yeah, about 6 minutes left in this race. We focus here on Nadav Yaron, who has got a little bit of a gap in front and behind him as he runs. Call that about 5 seconds back. Here is Leor Levi. Remember, we saw him involved in the wars here early on. He was able to clear through all of that, now maintaining 4th position in the running, so I think he'll be pretty pleased to be able to find himself there. He runs about 7 seconds, though, behind this driver, Yossi Gabe, in the number 17, who has been able to pull out a little bit of a lead there. That's some lap traffic in the back there. That is the number 39 of Arnon Levi that he is able to get around. Here is Yari Malkov trying to close down on John Chico up in front of him. This is about 1.2 seconds. And there is John Chico, your leader, holding off Malkov pretty well. He's been able to extend that gap over the past couple of laps.
Yep, Malkov dropping back slightly. And dropping back a lot as he has made a mistake into that second hairpin turn 4. And we'll see what's happened on the replay now as he's making his way through the S's section, I can imagine. Probably just dipping a wheel on the grass, maybe. Or just getting it wrong. A car gets loose halfway around the corner.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit too much speed there, maybe just a little bit too early on the loud pedal, and those rear Pirellis just absolutely giving up on him and not giving him any room. Now that is going to drop him farther down the order. That car you see directly ahead of him, that 959 there, that, as Amir has said, that is a car that is officially a lap down. He does have about 3 seconds to try to gain up here on Lior Levi in the dying 5 minutes of this race. So that's going to be a pretty tall task, I'd have to imagine, especially with as short as these lap times are.
Yep, really, really short lap here at Tsukba. But you can be glad that they're not using the other layout of Tsukba, the other circuit at Tsukba, which is just to the right-hand side, or the driver's left-hand side of the circuit. You can kind of see it from some of the camera angles at the Tsukba 1000 layout, which is basically a glorified karting circuit. So this is still miles better than what we would be seeing if it was on that layout. But still, very short circuit, but loads of action, especially when the drivers are as close as they are.
They most certainly are. As we take a look here onto the roll hoop of your leader, John Chico, up at the front of the field right now. He does have a little bit of lap traffic that he'll have to contend with, but that mistake earlier from Malkov has really given him some good breathing room here. He can just focus on hot lapping pretty much here at this point with about a 4.5 second gap to Yossi Gabe behind him.
Chico making his way around there. Oh, and that's an off for Zubrev from the lead of the AM category there. He's in the wall, and that's a really odd place to be in the wall. I'm looking for tire markings on the grass. I'm not seeing any, so I wonder what's happened to our previous AM leader here.
I am very curious about this as well. We ride on board with Mark here on the replay. Looks a little off the apex coming through turn 1. Did he maybe just clip the grass? Yeah. And that's just enough to send him around. And there you can see very, very hefty damage to the front end of that 030 machine. And that is going to push him all the way down the order. He's going to be 4th in AM right now. And that is going to turn over lead in the AM category to Aiden Shear, who runs ahead right now just barely of Tomer Ventura. Here he comes in the number 13, trying to be able to close in about the last 2.5 minutes of this first race here today. Let's see if he's able to do anything here. Closing down, going through turn 4 as they bring their way up now through these kind of fast sweepers, these flicks through the corner. It's really all about trying to get things together. And there you can see just a slide across the asphalt. I've got to think, Dane, that is a result of a little bit of the aero wash here put out by these cars.
Yeah, but another car around there as well. I think that was Hesed, who's now just been lapped as a result of that. But yeah, he's off the circuit there. You can see in the background out of the penultimate corner. Through the final corner, all sorts of squirrely on the inside for the number 13 there. And here's the number 2 all the way to the inside. A big block, big defensive drive into turn 1 for Venturi. He's going to run a bit deep, but I think he's just about managed to hold on to that spot.
Yeah, just about managed to hold on to it is the right word there. Just kind of got things a little bit wrong going into turn 1, but able to catch it down. And he is going to be able to maintain about a 0.5 of a second lead here over Aiden Shearer as they get themselves now through 5 and down through 6. Up at the front of the field, there is about a 1.5 minutes left to go in this race with lap times here at about 52 seconds here at this point, 53 seconds. I imagine this is going to be 2 to go for your leaders.
Yep, just over a minute left, just a minute now as Chico makes his way through the middle part of the circuit. very different lines to the ones that I remember taking here at Tsukba, because I've always raced sort of GT cars, the Mazdas here. But yeah, the curbs not being too friendly to these open wheel cars, as we've been seeing with drivers just getting it slightly wrong, touching the curbs, and around the car will go very stiff. These Formula cars, as a battle now emerging for your top 3 in the AM category relay. Second place, Sher just ahead of Galili here.
Yeah, and this, I think, is a little bit of a result. Remember, Scher was just behind Tomer Ventura not too many laps ago and then fell back a little bit as just for good measure, crossing over to take the white flag. John Chico does set the fastest lap of the race. But I think that little bit of checkup that Aiden Scher had to deal with has allowed for Bertie Galili to be able to catch up to the back of him. Now, the question's going to be here if that number 420 is going to be able to make the pass coming down through the final corner. Doesn't look like it, taking a wider line there, clearly trying to carry as much momentum as possible. The question is going to be is if that plays itself out or not. Coming into turn 1, looks like he's not going to be able to get the advantage.
Yep, and what is probably the final time, it is definitely the final time that they'll be able to make any moves happen around the final corner. Here comes your race leader.
Here comes John Chico coming out of turn 9, ready to look to Barney the flagman. He's going to weave across the track and take victory here at Tsukba. Yossi Gabe will come home behind him to claim a P2 with a little bit of a wiggle there out of the 17 in victory. Then Lior Levi will cross over the line, followed by Malkov. Yaron a little bit farther back from them in P5. There is Nadav as he brings himself out of that final corner as well. The number 200 of Sherling going to be coming out there, and a good victory here too. The number 13, Tomer Ventura, able to withstand the pressure from Aiden Scher. Aiden Scher also able to withstand the pressure there from Yossi Gabe, and that'll round out your podium in the AM category.
Yep, good battles up and down the field. I'm really looking forward to the start of this of the second race here. It's going to be a fantastic first few corners of the race. I think it's just very tricky for the drivers to go from what is, as you can see on the screen now, an incredibly wide first straight, the main straight, into a very narrow sequence of corners.
Yeah, it certainly is. And as we said, a 10-place inversion here for your drivers. So that means Ariel DeBush will line up in pole position there in the pro category, followed by your pole sitter in the AMs, Bertie Galili. Then it's Aiden Scher and Tomer Ventura. Then we get back into the meat of the pro field with Michael Sherling and Nadav Yaron. Then it'll be Yari Malkov, Lior Levi, Yossi Gabe, and John Chico, your winner from the first race, able to be in 10th for the second. Really Sir will line up in 11th, followed by Sharon Kaner in 12th. 13th is going to be Arnon Levi, followed by Zubarev, then Hesed and Tal Stern. Dror last, Yamarkov and Mati Bakar rounding out your field here today as we get ready to go racing. Just waiting on Mati Bakar, I believe. Looks like we've got a little bit of a blinking problem there as the green flag flies and we are ready to go racing. Pretty decent getaway there from DeBush, but behind him that's 2-3 wide as we watch Tomer Ventura trying to find a little bit of space. He's going to try to find it, but losing out positions as they run. There's Nadav Yaron in the middle of the pack trying to work his way forward, as well as the number 04 of John Chico just kind of biding his time. 3 wide down into turn 4. That got a little bit close there with Aiden Scher trying to be able to find his way through. He's going to leave a little bit of a pack. That's going to be Sherling and Lior Levi there behind them. Farther back down in the field, this is Nadav Yaron, Yossi Gabe, Really Sir, and John Chico trying to be able to move their way up forward as they bring their way through turn 8 for the first time.
Now down the back straight, we'll see more moves being made most likely as they get into the slipstream. Massive drafting train into this final corner. Drivers will have to be careful not to run wide because they'll have all the aero wash of a bunch of cars. With one car going all the way off, I believe, on the background, and one car heading down into the pit lane. So we'll see. I wonder why that would be. Maybe a jump start penalty, perhaps, for Really Sir, I believe, that's got into the pit lane, or possibly some damage as well. But into the middle sector they go already, just a minute into the race.
Oh. Contact there between Scher and Levi. Looked like there that Aiden Scher just caught that braking zone wrong and sent Lior Levi stumbling out into the outside. Big contact there for him. We focus back on your winner from the first round, John Chico, as he tries to work his way back up through the field, holding Yossi Gabe at bay for the moment. Now he's going to close up on the back of Nadav Yaron. There is Chico in the number 4. Almost a little bit of contact there, Dane.
very close. I think, yeah, possibly some netcode helping out the drivers there, possibly. But down the inside here is the number 11. That's Tal Stern, trying to make up a position there. Does so successfully. And Kader in P7 now in that pro category. And trying to go all the way around the outside of turn 1. Does so very successfully there.
Very successful run there for the 48. I've got to say I'm pretty impressed by that, to be able to get that work a little bit more side by side. Amir Hased and Yarmakov in the back of the field. We check back in on your leader, though. Ariel DeBush leading Bernie Galili right now. These are your leaders in class. DeBush in the pro category, Galili in the AM category. Galili trying to close in off the back there, and Ventura getting it wrong and spinning
into the wall as well, but it was a square impact to the rear, so I think maybe just a bit of rear wing damage and those rear tires should be fine. There's more side-by-side action here on the opening couple of laps.
Yes, indeed. That's John Chico able to send a move there on Yossi Gabe, running a little bit wide, but still able to keep it together. Now Chico's going to have Aiden Schur directly up ahead of him. We follow here on Nadav Yaron, who's trying to be able to close in a little bit. That was the driver he was actually able to send the move on. As Kaner sets the fastest lap of the race with a 53.3 flat here on that last time out. A little bit of a close run there for Yossi Gabe. Dane, you and I both thought that was going to be contact.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much got underneath the rain light on the back of these cars with the front wing there. I thought it was almost definite contact up ahead and side by side here. And, a bit of a check-up as well as the drivers get a bit loose and massive Constantina effect there as well. But they're still going to be going side by side. You've got Gabe on the inside, now trying to get up the inside of Euron as well as they make their way into the final corner. He's trying to hold on as the 48 swoops around the outside.
Yeah, a bumping and banging there, a great checkup from behind. That was the 11 of Tal Stern. I want to give him credit, but I think that may have given him a little bit of front wing damage there. I am amazed that didn't come to blows. Yeah,
almost had exactly what happened to Fernando Alonso yesterday in the F1, where he'd just gone over the back of the car. That very nearly just happened there with Stern as well, so great job for him to avoid that, and probably a bit of damage to the front wing of the car, but definitely rather that than sending it over the top of your car in front. Here's Zubrev trying to make a move on Tal Stern, and does so up the inside and gets ahead and towards the final corner. They will head now.
Yeah, good respect there given by Stern and Zubrev. We've got a little bit more side-by-side. Yossi Gabe in the 17 trying to hold off an attack here from Kaner. Kaner trying to line up through turn 9 right now. He's going to bring that car nice out and wide to see if there's anything to be able to pass there. Oh, way off in the background. I believe that was Tal Stern getting it all kinds of wrong. But Kaner and Gabe going to be going side-by-side down into the first corner here, waiting to see how they're going to play itself out. The 48 looks like they've got a little bit of an edge, and indeed Gabe's going to have to back off as Kaner has that position, and he's not done. He's now looking ahead to Nadav Yaron, I think, in that 22.
He's got incredible pace in this 48 machine, especially in these first 5 minutes of the race. And he's almost turned around the 22 there, trying to get to the side, around the outside of the penultimate corner, the right hand through the hairpin. Lovely banking on this corner, and now they're going to go side by side. And Yaron out of the draft of the car in front as well, so it's going to be tricky to try and keep this 148 around the outside. It's a very long corner. You'll have to carry the speed out of the exit. They'll be side by side once again. A little bit of contact between the two. The sidewalls of the tires scrubbing against each other. They're trying to go around the outside of turn 1 again. We've seen this 3 times from him now, and he's not quite going to make it work this time.
No, he's not, but he was a very lucky boy there not to have the number 17 of Gabe to come up behind him, and the luck runs out. There's contact there, and that's going to be Yaron around.
And it was always going to happen. He was looking left and right, trying to find a way past alongside and right in the middle of the circuit onto the brakes. And yeah, that's always really going to happen. They're just ending up turning the car in front. Back out in front then, we've got 3 drivers here, separated by not a whole lot in your Pro and Am classes, all mixed up here.
Yeah, Ariel DeBush leading the way up in front right now. Bertie Galili there behind him, and then Michael Scherling, the one bringing up the back of the train. But Scherling just stalking behind here at this point, not wanting to attack too much, I think, as they come down now through turns 2 and 3, down into the braking zone of turn 4. Scherling taking a little bit of a wider line there, just slightly, kind of taking into account that banking that you talked about earlier, Dane.
Yep, and oh, a little bit of a mistake there from Galili in front, and Sherling might be able to try and pounce into the penultimate corner, but backs off and isn't going to be able to make any kind of move here. But this is going to be the opportunity for him as Galili runs wide on the exit out onto the grass, and he's got to watch out now for John Chico. You can see there catching at a massive rate into the final corner they'll go.
And into the final corner they go. Here they come, working their way through. Great speed for John Chico as he continues to be able to work his way out. Is that going to be enough for the 0-4? Yes, it is. The 420 of Galili kind of saw the writing on the wall there and moved out of the way.
Yep, he's definitely got to think about his own race as well in the AM classes. Oh, it's Gabe off in the background. Was 5th in the pro category. He's surely going to drop down a couple places now as here comes the 22 of Yaron, who's going to move up into 5th in that pro category now. And out of the first corner, I think this is going to be a very similar thing to what we've seen a couple times now over the course of the 2 races. Just dipping the wheels on the exit of this first corner in the grass potentially. No, wow.
Wow, just a little bit of problems there. I wonder if we're dealing with a little bit of overheating rear tires here, Dane, as that's not the first time we've seen that happen over the course of the last race and a half.
I'm quite surprised that we would see this so early on, though. It's only 8 minutes into the race. Usually that's something I would expect to see much later into the race. But then again, this is a Japanese circuit. They've got the weird Japanese slippery tarmac going on. So that is a genuine thing. The tarmac in Japan, for some reason, is just slippier than other circuits around the world. So maybe it's just a bit of a combination of the 2 things there. But he's going side by side just behind with Yaron. He wants to get back in front.
Yeah, he certainly does. And that's a great point about the Japanese asphalt here. I've had people explain to me why it is particularly slippery multiple times, but for some reason I just can't retain it in my brain. I just know that it is more slippery than asphalt around the rest of the world. Something about
That's the most important part, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's that we know it is. Whoo, big lockup from behind there from Yari Malkov, almost getting into the back of Yossi Gabe. I think that may have scared him there a little bit. Gabe trying to line up a little bit of weaving there from Yaron as they came down the back straightaway, just trying to break that draft a little bit.
There's some drivers still setting personal best laps as all off into the grass on the outside. So easy to do for Malkov, but here comes Gabe around the outside, almost the 2 drivers making contact. He's not quite alongside as they head into the S's of turns 2 and 3, and now into the hairpin. Looks to the inside, bit of a lock up in front of him, and he has to back off slightly under a huge amount of pressure just behind him as well. So Gabe really in a very difficult position. He has to try and make a move on the car in front, who he certainly feels he's a bit quicker than, but also he has to not compromise his own line, because if he does, he's got Malkov right behind ready to pounce.
Well, and it looked like Malkov there was ready to pounce as we check up a little farther in the field. Kaner versus Schur right now. Iden there in the number 2 machine, taking a little bit of a wider line off of turn 9. That's going to bring him down now into the first corner. He's again going to take a little bit of a later apex, just trying to carry as much momentum as possible. Here's a battle, though, up for P2. John Chico, or excuse me, this is up for P1. That's going to be Sherling trying to get by to Bush. Chico looking on in the popcorn position, waiting for all this to happen. Big slide there, though, for the number 200 of Michael Sherling. Is he going to be able to keep it pointed the right way? Yes, he can. That is going to be Sherling up into the lead of the pro category. to Bush trying to fight back. But what this is doing is it is allowing for John Chico and that number 04 to catch right in.
There have been cones all over the circuit there, so someone's obviously gone off in the middle part of the circuit. But as we see from John Chico's perspective here, starting another lap, just gone half race time. And he is in a brilliant position. We've seen John Chico's pace throughout this first race and the second race, very nearly ending right there, as both him and the Bush getting all sorts of loose through the first corner, almost making contact, but just about avoiding it. But just a second off the leader, and only 2 cars between him and a second race victory here today. John Chico looking very quick indeed.
Yeah, looking very, very quick indeed, and I like this strategy there from him. You saw that little bit of a look. Oh, that's a car off in front. That's Yarmakov. They're up in having some problems, but he's able to stay out of the leaders, and I like this from Chico. He knows that there's about 8.5 minutes left to go. He's within striking position, and he's not really pushing his luck. I think he knows that DeBush and Sherling want to fight here a little bit, and he's not pressing that too hard.
I think we're going to see a replay here of something happening at the hairpin. We are. It's Kana. Oh, that's not good. That is big. That's 4 cars involved in that one. Damage out of the race potentially. Wheels flying off of the cars. And it was Yamarkov, was it, out of the final or the penultimate corner. Getting loose on the grass on the re-entry. Came across the circuit and collected a good 2-3 cars with him.
Yeah, certainly did. We've got a little bit of a 3-way battle here right now. This is Smolkov, Sir, and Stern as they try to sort themselves out. Oh, contact big around there for Yari Malkov. And that was, I believe, Gabay that may have gotten into the side of him.
I wonder if he's got any damage from that suspension-wise, because he does look to be going a little bit slow, but it looks like his car has survived that remarkably well. Obviously, just the time and positions lost from it. But I think he's going to be able to get back onto the pace and catch up. Maybe, no, he's parking it.
Yeah, I think something just a little bit wrong there, and that's one of the things in these open-wheel cars. When you have that problem that does arrive, it may seem like you're able to run relatively fast, but then you realize if there's engine damage or something of that sort, that it'll slow you right down. Meanwhile, up in the battle for the lead of the race, John Chico able to get by Ariel DeBush, and now he has his sights set on Michael Scherling. Here they come to Bush, Chico and Scherling as they run, trying to see what they are able to do. John Chico closing in behind here. This is Bertie Galili, your leader in the AM category right now. You can see off in the distance there, that is the 30 of Zubarev. He's got plenty of breathing room here at this point. A little bit of side by side. This is Yaron and really Sir, that's Gabay and really Nadav Yaron as they come down through the final corner. Gabay able to get that move done.
Yeah, back and forth between all of these drivers here. As through the S's, they'll go once again. 6 minutes left in the race for the leaders. They're making their way through the penultimate corner, through the right-hand hairpin here. And Chico, well, he's got 0.3 of a second worth of a gap to the car in front. And with the slipstream in these F4 cars, you know that that's only coming down the straights. And he's been so quick around the circuit all day. Through the first corner, they're about to go. And I think it's only a matter of time before that move gets sent on Scherling in front.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. He was about 1.3 or 0.13 seconds faster than Chico or than Scherling on that last lap was John Chico. He certainly has the speed, he has the tenacity, and with about 5 minutes left to go, I think it's just a matter of time here for him to want to make that move, clipping a little bit of the grass there, bringing it out onto the track. You can see as we ride on board with the 04 just how much better of a line he's got. He's going to look around the outside here. No, he's going to look for a little bit of a crossover, taking that late apex into the corner now. He's going to get a big old heaping of the draft, and Scherling knows that he's going to go defensive down into turn 9 off of the backstretch. John Chico having denied a little bit of that run. He's going to have to look to the outside, trying to cut some clean air onto that front wing. Maybe a little bit of a defensive line there for Scherling as they came through mid-corner, trying to slow him up at apex, but that's not going to stop John Chico as they come down into turn 1. Chico's going to try to flit around the outside. A big lock up there from Scher, and that's going to allow for a little bit of side-by-side and DeBush on through.
And Scherling's all the way back down to 4th overall now as well. Zubrev is going to catch up and put him down to 5th too. But DeBush out in front by 2.5 seconds, 2.6. Chico struggling with some damage perhaps. And DeBush, with 4 minutes left of this race, is right out in front. Chico really struggling here. Oh, wow.
That steering wheel, the suspension is absolutely borked. He has got nothing to be able to drive. If he's able to get to the end of the race here, Dane, I'll be amazed.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. You can see he's literally full lock to the right. That's what, 45, 50 degrees of steering angle to the right just to go in a straight line. That is crabbing massively. I do believe he has a fast repair, and I think that's exactly where he's going to go to use it. But how is he going to get through this very flat, very narrow pit entry? He's doing a very good job of it, to be fair to him. Staying out of the way of all the other drivers as well. Into the pit lane he will go. He'll get that fast repair. He'll get that wheel magically snapped back on. And then hopefully he will get back out there and not lose too many points. But it really could have been a very good contender for the race victory. And yeah, straight. I don't even see him stop there. Just gets the fast repair and off he goes again. Unfortunately, this time he's rejoining the race in 9th position.
Yeah, he'll rejoin it in 9th, but 4th in class, so that's still a decent amount of points here for him on the day. But with about 3 minutes left to go, Ariel DeBush looking like he is the class of the field, especially in the pro category, has a nice big gap of about 5 seconds back to Bertie Galili, who runs around in the lead of that AM class right now. So both of these drivers looking like it's pretty much decided here, unless we see a mistake, which we've seen plenty of, so it could fire off here.
Yep, it definitely could, but Galili out in front in that category and in 2nd position overall. So the top 3 AM drivers, 2nd, 3rd, 4th overall. So not doing too badly for those guys with the reverse grid race at all. So it's a great job by all of this lot. Zubrev, of course, well, was leading for the longest time in the AM category in race number 1. Unfortunately, he wasn't quite able to make that one stick. He's got about 2 minutes 10 seconds to close down a 2-second gap to Galili if he wants to try and take the win in the AM category in race 2.
Well, we've seen him really trying for a long time to do that, so I don't know how close that's going to end up being. This one has a little bit of potential here. This is Yossi Gabe as he tries to close in on the 9.59 of Amir Hassed directly up ahead of him. Now, they are going to close themselves down here. That gap is not too much. Let's call it about 0.7 of a second. So Gabe is going to be feeling the effects of the draft here. He certainly could close in, but only about 1.5 minutes left. I think we're probably going to be 1, maybe 2 laps to go at the line.
Side by side here, there is John Chico trying to get past Levi, and he's going to get through. And Levi's going to give him that position, of course, knowing that Chico is one of the drivers that really should be right up at the front of this field, and he's not going to waste any time battling. He's just trying to keep on his own race there, and Chico will look towards Sir, but I don't know how far he's going to have to look for that. But with 1 minute left, as you were saying, goodbye, and has said that gap's closed up significantly. We may well be able to see this move happen on this final lap.
Well, I think Yossi Gabai certainly thinks to want to do that. He's going to look to the inside there of turn 1 as they work their way through the corner right now, trying to see what he is going to be able to get. A little bit of slippage there from the 9.59 of Hassed, and that's going to be enough to put him behind. Yossi Gabai able to take 4th place overall in 2nd, holding on to 2nd in that pro category. So a good move there for him. 30 seconds left on the clock, though. Ariel DeBush, your leader, coming through these corners right now. This is really Sir. Here is DeBush. I think this is going to be a little bit close, but we should have white flag here as he crosses the line. And yes, indeed, it is going to be white flag in the air for Ariel DeBush. One more lap around this tiny little bull ring.
Well, here's a battle here with really Sir in the 36. Got Euron just in front. They will have one more lap. Even though the time has expired, they will get one more go around this very short circuit of Tsukba, and we'll see if Sir is going to be able to make up that position and get up into what I believe would be 3rd position for his category.
Yeah, I believe that's right as well. We see here if Sir is going to be able to fire that move off here, maybe hold on to a podium if he is lucky, but it does look like that Nadav Yaron is able to hold him at bay for now. But here comes Ariel DeBush through the final corner. He is going to come out of turn 9 and come across the start-finish line to take victory at Tsukba. A great run there for DeBush. Coming across the line there in P1 for the AM category is Galili. Yossi Gabe going to be able to hold on to P2 for the pros. Hassed and Yaron, that battle looked like it didn't necessarily play out. Really, Sir actually lost a lot of time there on that last lap. I wonder if there was a mistake for him. Here comes John Chico after that incident, only able to recover up to 4th. Levi and then Stern going to come across the line in 5th for the pros.
Here comes Kana in 6th position for the pros, or for the AMs actually. Sorry, the pros, I've got my colours mixed up there. Happy with that one, bit of weaving across the line as well. There goes Shirt for the AMs across the line in P6 as well. And the last couple of drivers crossing the line. And it's actually a very odd scenario where you've got drivers crossing the line almost a full lap's worth of time past the finish of the race, even though it's such a short circuit. We've ended up having drivers finish the race at 20 minutes, 5 seconds, and then still have another lap left to go. So a bit of an odd one there that you don't see too often. But yeah, brilliant 2 races here today at Tsukuba. I'm very impressed by the drivers.
Yeah, very impressed as well. The iRacing Israel League putting on a show as always. Let's go ahead and run you through that final finishing order for today. It was Ariel DeBush able to take victory, Bertie Galili able to take victory in the AM category. Then it was Mark Zubarev in second, followed by Yossi Gabe in second for the pros. And then in the AM category, rounding out the podium was Amir Hased, and rounding out the podium for the pro category, Nadav Yaron. Really, sir, then John Chico only able to recover up into fourth place, followed by Arnon Levi, Tal Stern, Sharon Kaner, Leor Levi, Eden Shear, Dror Last, Michael Sherling, Aviadya Makarov, Yari Malkov, Tomer Ventura, and Madi Bakar. As we do look like we have our first interview here, our winner in the first race had to fight back a little bit there in the second, was only good enough for fourth, but John, it certainly looked like a day out there for you. How do you think everything went, all things considered?
To be honest, I'm freaking pissed already. It's the third consecutive time I get taken out because somebody slips or whatever, or spins. It's a little bit annoying already. Especially when I tried so hard. First race was relatively easy. I kind of paced myself a little bit because I'm running a little bit of a lower brake bias, so I didn't want to cook the tires a lot. So I kind of kept a steady pace just so they last, because they do fall off to the tail end of the race if you don't. So that was the first one. It was good. It was okay. Second one was a little bit hectic at the beginning, but I kept my nose clean and yeah, made it all the way to second, just to end up being taken out again, not by my own hands. So that's it. That's how it went.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be very, very frustrating for you. My heart goes out to you there. It's a tough, tough position to be in. But as we look ahead, 2 weeks' time, we head to Silverstone. Is that going to be a little bit of a change? Obviously, going to be a big change of pace here from Tsukuba. But do you think you can maybe be able to stick out of a little bit of trouble there and maybe work on a double win?
First of all, it all depends if Reuven is going to be in the race or not. That's always one of the big factors. So we got to put that in the mix. But but the good thing about Silverstone is, first of all, it's a little bit easier to keep your nose clean because it's a wider track. It's not as technical, or I don't know if they're both technical, but it's just a lot more flowing than Tsukuba. So hopefully I'll have better luck there. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting with the draft there and the limited top speed of this car. So it's gonna make for some I think good racing at the end of the back straight, and we'll see how it goes.
See, indeed. I know it's a race that I've had circled on my calendar. But John, is there anybody you'd like to thank for the run here today?
I'd like to thank Michael Sherling first and foremost. But no, I'm kidding. Hey, it's racing. It happens. Stuff like this happens. So yeah, Guy Ferran from Sim Race, Tal Stern, and everybody that contributes to this league. And thank you guys again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. That was John Chico, your winner in the first race, and having a little bit of a rough run there in the second race. And Dane, I believe you have been able to catch up with our AM victor here, Yossi Gabe.
Yep, and he joins us now. And yeah, Yossi, you've had a pretty good result actually here. You looked very competitive out there, had some pretty good battles, a little bit of contact sprinkled in for added effect as well. Just talk us through your couple of races today. It looked like you had a good time out there.
Yeah. It was a very tough race. This track is pretty hard to pass. The first race was the third was 10. The first third was very tense, but after that I was pretty much alone in the rest of the race. but the second race was wow. It was battle all the way, I think. And we had some contacts, but I think mostly it was fair fight. A couple of incidents, but sure enough, it was very good race for me. Both.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're nearing on, I think, halfway through the season now already. But looking forward to like the next race. We're going to be heading to the Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone. A very different circuit to Tsukba, it's fair to say. Still quite flat, but a much longer circuit. In these F4 cars, very long lap times. What are you expecting around that circuit in these cars?
I hope that the slipstream will be beneficial in that track, because in this track, in this Tsukba, the slipstream doesn't help much. I like the Silverstone, but I'm mostly not very good at it. I don't know why. I need to practice pretty much a lot. Still, I don't get good results, but hopefully I will be better this time. I don't know.
And you mentioned that it's difficult to overtake here at Tsukba. What were you finding to be most effective in trying to get past the guy in front?
The first corner, I think, from the straight, from the long, I don't know, main straight or second straight, but the first corner, if you able to jump in on time, then the other guy doesn't have any chance to go inside. So this is a very good chance, but the problem is that the next turn is to the left mostly, so you're kind of left outside, so it makes the pass very difficult. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely did look tricky out there for you. But yeah, you did put on a great show for us. So thank you very much. And thank you for joining us here in the interview as well. And congratulations on 2 very good results for yourself. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Silverstone.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Always great to hear from the drivers. And a brilliant result for the driver in his traditional, at this point, bright green racing machine.
Yeah, fantastic result there for Yossi, and a good race, a good 2 races put on here by the iRacing Israel League. We always love to see them put on the action. But unfortunately, that's about going to wrap things up for us here today. You did hear us mention it. In 2 weeks' time, we head to Silverstone and unleash these iR-04s on the historic circuit there, so you are not going to want to miss that. But in the meantime, on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, Dane Baird, and our producer and director behind the scenes, Lewis Ward, it has been a pleasure to bring you the racing action here today for the iRacing Israel League, live from the virtual Tsukba race circuit. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.